Edge of Tomorrow Through the Lens of A Course in Miracles, ACIM, is a surprisingly rich metaphor for undoing the ego, releasing fear, and learning through repetition until a different choice is finally made. The entire movie revolves around one astonishing premise. Cage keeps reliving the same day over and over again. From an ACIM perspective, this resembles the condition of the sleeping mind. The Course teaches that the ego continually repeats the same mistake, believing separation is real. The forms change, the scenery changes, the characters change, but underneath, the same thought pattern keeps replaying. Fear, defense, attack, guilt, loss, fear again. Like Cage, humanity keeps waking up inside the same lesson until it is learned differently. In the beginning, Cage is not a hero. He is frightened, self-protective, manipulative, concerned primarily with survival. This makes him a perfect symbol for the ego. The ego's first commandment is, protect yourself at all costs. Yet every time Cage tries to preserve himself through fear, he fails. Again, and again, and again. The repeated deaths become symbolic of one of the central ACIM teachings. The ego's thought system does not work. The Course describes the ego as a learning device that teaches through pain. Eventually, the mind begins to question whether there might be another teacher. Cage gradually reaches that point. The endless repetition forces him to let go of old strategies. What once seemed important becomes irrelevant. Status becomes irrelevant. Image becomes irrelevant. Winning becomes irrelevant. Only awakening matters. That resembles the spiritual path. Many people experience the same emotional patterns for years, the same grievances, the same fears, the same relationship conflicts, the same self-concepts. The details vary, but the lesson repeats. The Holy Spirit is not punishing anyone. The classroom simply remains open until another choice is made. Rita is fascinating through an ACIM lens. She functions almost like a symbol of the Holy Spirit or the awakened teacher. Not because she is perfect, but because she sees beyond the immediate panic. She already understands that the appearances are not the whole story. Again and again, she guides Cage toward a broader perspective. The Course often describes teachers of God this way. They help us see what we cannot yet see for ourselves, not by giving us answers, but by helping us reinterpret experience. One of the deepest themes in the film is the undoing of fear through direct exposure. Initially, Cage is terrified of death. Who wouldn't be? But after experiencing it hundreds of times, something changes. Death loses some of its power. From an AM perspective, this mirrors the gradual recognition that the ego's greatest weapon is fear of loss, fear of losing the body, fear of losing identity, fear of losing control. The Course repeatedly teaches, nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. The movie does not teach this explicitly, but Cage's transformation points in that direction. As attachment to personal survival loosens, courage emerges naturally. Another powerful AM theme is perception. At first, Cage sees only fragments. Later, he begins seeing patterns, connections, causes behind appearances. Eventually, he perceives a much larger picture. This resembles miracle-minded perception. The Holy Spirit does not necessarily change the external situation first. The Holy Spirit changes how the situation is seen. The battlefield itself can be viewed symbolically. The ego interprets life as war, competition, conflict, survival, attack and defense. Teaches that attack and defense are part of the same illusion. The world seems dangerous because the mind believes it has attacked God and now expects retaliation. The battlefield reflects that inner condition. As Cage awakens, he becomes less reactive and more responsive, less fearful and more willing, less identified with his separate self. One of the movie's most moving developments is the growth of genuine care. Initially, people are largely objects within Cage's survival strategy. Over time, they become real to him. Compassion grows, sacrifice becomes possible, love begins replacing self-interest. This is the movement from specialness toward joining. The repeated timeline resets also resemble the Course's teaching that time itself is a learning device. Time is not the goal. Time is the classroom. The purpose of time is to learn what time cannot teach. Eventually, the lesson is complete. The title, Edge of Tomorrow, carries a beautiful symbolic meaning. The ego always lives in tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll be happy. Tomorrow I'll be safe. Tomorrow I'll awaken. Yet Cage is trapped precisely because tomorrow never arrives. Only the present moment exists. That is one of the central teachings of M. The miracle occurs now, not yesterday, not tomorrow, now. Viewed through an ACIM lens, Edge of Tomorrow becomes a story about the sleeping mind trapped in repetitive patterns of fear until it finally learns another way. The ego keeps replaying the same day. The Holy Spirit uses every replay as an opportunity to choose again. And eventually, after enough willingness, the lesson is learned. Not because the world changed first, but because the mind did.